Nearly 2 years ago, Lexus debuted the all-new second generation NX, and when this car first came out, it was a big deal for Lexus because it was essentially the start of an all-new era. Lexus claimed this was the most new vehicle that they've introduced in their 30-plus year history. Now, over the past 2 years, I've already shown you guys two extensive reviews on the turbocharged NX 350 and the plug-in hybrid NX 450h Plus. However, today, as you can see, Lexus has loaned me what I believe to be the sweet spot in the lineup. This is a 2023 Lexus NX 350h, the only conventional hybrid in the compact luxury segment. And if you guys are looking for a vehicle that's going to save you money at the pump, but you don't necessarily want to spend as much as a plug-in hybrid, how does the all-new 2023 Lexus NX 350h stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, because this review is going to focus primarily on the differences within the powertrain, let's first start with what's going on underneath the hood, because this car didn't get any styling changes for 2023. Now, as you can see, unlike the Toyota RAV4, this is actually held up with struts as opposed to a prop rod. Now, Lexus offers a choice of 4 different powertrains in this all-new generation NX, which is a really big deal because no other luxury player offers this many choices. Now, of course, this is below what is technically the NX 350, which is a turbocharged engine, and the 450h Plus, which is a plug-in hybrid. The NX 350h combines the same 2.5-liter naturally aspirated gasoline 4-cylinder engine that has direct end port injection. It runs on the Atkinson cycle with up to 3 electric motors. There's 2 motors at the front and then 1 motor at the back that provides all-wheel drive, which all-wheel drive is going to be standard on all these versions. This is technically an upgrade versus the prior generation, which was known as the NX 300h. So this model essentially replaces that. The gas engine on its own makes around 189 horsepower, which is technically more versus the RAV4 hybrid, in which this vehicle shares a powertrain with. That vehicle makes 176. Combined, when you add in the electric motor's output, Lexus claims this offers 239 horsepower. So again, that's 20 more horsepower versus what you get in the RAV4. Lexus does not claim a torque figure for this powertrain, so we don't know how much torque this has, but as you guys know, electric motors offer a ton of torque off the line. Now, compared to the NX 350 turbo engine, this actually has less horsepower, but it gets significantly better gas mileage. It runs through an eCVT, a continuously variable transmission, as opposed to the 8-speed auto. And fuel economy is rated at 41 in the city, 37 on the highway, 39 combined. Premium gas is recommended according to Lexus, but you can run this vehicle safely on regular. And with a 14.5-gallon gas tank, you should be looking at around 500 miles on a full tank when you guys take this vehicle on longer trips. This fuel economy is about 13 mpg better versus the turbo engine, so you can see it's pretty significant. It's also 3 mpg better versus the plug-in hybrid, which, as you guys know, is heavier. Lexus claims this will do 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds. It'll tow a maximum of 2,000 pounds, and it has a top speed of around 124 miles an hour. As this one sits, it weighs in at just over 4,000 pounds, so it's about 100 to 200 pounds heavier versus the Toyota counterpart, but it's around 400 pounds lighter versus the plug-in hybrid version of the NX. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, as you guys know, this all-new second generation was new back in 2022, and you can see it has the latest design language on a lot of other Lexus vehicles. The one thing about the NX 350h is this is only available as a premium or a luxury trim. You cannot get the F-Sport handling package on this model, which means you can't get the adaptive dampers. You have to go to the turbo or the plug-in hybrid model. But you can see here is the Lexus spindle grille. It kind of has like this gloss gray finish where it almost looks like a chain link fence in the texture of the actual inserts of the grille. You can see this model here also has the panoramic view 360 camera. This Lexus logo houses the sensor for the Lexus Safety System 2.5, which is standard. And then my tester for $875 also has the upgraded premium triple beam LED headlights with LED low and high beams. You have LED turn signals, LED daytime running lights, and you also have LED fog lights with, it looks like an all-weather light. Down here you have integrated parking sensors, and then there are some functional openings, it looks like there. The front fascia of this car is definitely in line with the Lexus family, a little bit polarizing, but I really like it in this color. It's called Grecian Waters. It's a little bit of a lighter blue versus the ultrasonic blue mica that I showed you guys on the NX 450h Plus. Now, looking around the side profile, this is built off of the same platform as the current generation RAV4. They share the same 105.9-inch long wheelbase, but the Lexus is about 3 inches longer at 183.5 inches long. This is actually a little bit on the longer end of the segment, but again, it looks a lot smaller when you see the vehicle in person. My tester here has a luxury package for $7,500, but it throws in these really nice looking luster nickel finished 20-inch wheels. You can see multiple spokes. They're riding on two 35/50 R20 Bridgestone all-season tires. Lexus claims you also have around 7.7 inches of ground clearance. The brake rotors, you can see, are nearly 13 inches in the front, around 12 inches in the back, just a conventional single piston floating caliper design. If you're looking for bigger 6-piston brakes, Lexus doesn't even offer that on the even on the F Sport model. Now you can see, unlike the other versions with the F Sport package, these wheel arches are gray. They're not actually body colored. Same thing with the lower rocker. You can see the mirrors have a chrome accent to them, integrated turn signals. And then, unlike the plug-in hybrid, Lexus does offer a panoramic glass roof for $500 that you can get, along with a lot of more chrome trim on the back. You can black that out again if you get the F Sport package. You can see over here, this also has the digital latch door handles. So these are fixed into place, and there's a little pressure pad that you can push to open them up. And then looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see the design has the new Lexus design language with the light blade, the full LED light blade. You also get integrated full LED turn signals, LED reverse lights. You get the Lexus logo that's spelled out the back. This was the first Lexus vehicle to do that, as opposed to doing the signature Lexus L. And then there's an NX 350h badge over there with all-wheel drive. Remember, the Plus is supposed to mean it's a plug-in hybrid. This is just a conventional hybrid. Down here you can see that is the activity mount. That's an accessory that you can get from Lexus for $500. No visible exhaust tips, but you do have these nicely integrated rear parking sensors. Now, opening up the cargo area, you can see the NX has always been a little bit on the smaller end for the cargo space, but this new version, they actually added around 5 cubic feet of additional storage. You get just under 23 cubic feet. You can see it's a nicely finished area. You have this aluminum trim kick plate over there where you would be loading in your cargo. You can see underneath this area here, there is a pretty deep storage compartment. The 12-volt battery lives back here. So I like how Lexus has added the storage underneath there. If you fold down the second row seats, which my tester has an option that is power folding. It's an extra $1,000, and you can see once you push that button, the rear seat will power fold up and power fold down. It also adds heated rear seats, but when you fold down the rear seats, it expands the cargo to just under 44 cubic feet of space, which is on the smaller end of the segment. But if you can believe it by the numbers, this is actually not that much smaller versus Lexus's bigger vehicle, the all-new 4th generation RX. So the exterior of the 350h doesn't look any different versus the other members of the family, but let's go ahead and talk about the interior of this model. The first thing I want to show you guys, here is the current Lexus key fob. You can see it has the usual lock, unlock, open up the trunk, and it has a panic feature. If you guys have access to the Lexus Interface app, you can also remote start this vehicle from your phone and also check on multiple different status reports, but I don't have access to that because this is a press vehicle. Now you can see this door handle, as you guys know, is fixed into position even though it looks conventional. There is a manual way you can open up this door handle in case the power fails. You can see when the door locks, the mirrors electrically fold, and then just push that little pressure pad and that opens up the door via that digital latch system. Now, the Grecian Waters exterior of my tester is complemented by this black full leather interior. This is the real leather that you can get part of the luxury package. It also includes a 10-way power adjustable driver's seat with 2-person or 4-person lumbar support, and you also get 3-person memory seats. The luxury package also includes heated and ventilated seats. I personally would get probably the Palomino or the black and rich cream interior as opposed to the black. It's kind of got a really nice two-tone look, but again, I like the contrasting stitching. The leather feels really high quality, and these feel a lot softer and more supportive versus what you're going to get in the RAV4 hybrid. And they're also a little bit softer versus the F Sport model, which has more aggressively bolstered seats. In terms of the door panel, you can see there's a soft touch injection molded plastic. This is a genuine black open pore wood that you get with the luxury package. And then my tester also has the 14-speaker Mark Levinson stereo, which sounds really good. It's a nice upgrade versus the 10-speaker unit that you get in the baser versions of the NX. You can see nice padded armrest here where your elbows will rest. Nice padded New Lux leather again on this portion of the door. Down here, it's hard touch plastic. And then you can see here, there's the digital latch door handle system. You just push that to open, or you can also pull it twice to open it in case the power goes out, which is nice. My tester also has an accessory here that has an illuminated side sill plate, which definitely makes this car look a little bit more premium. Now, with 7.7 inches of ground clearance, this has a really easy step in height. So that's something that a lot of SUV buyers like. When I get in and shut the door, The door has a nice solid sounding thunk, and that adds to the impression of quality. Now, like other NX models, the start stop button here is mounted high on the dash so you don't lose sight of it. And then when you turn the vehicle on, you can hear this has a new Lexus chime, and this interior is practically the same. I'm not going to go into too much detail with this interior, but you should know the luxury package includes the larger 14-inch display. This is part of the Lexus interface infotainment system. This is a huge improvement over the older mouse pad controller system. You also have a 7-inch display here, which is looking dated. You can get a fully digital display now in the 2023 RAV4, and the Toyota now has a 10.3-inch display with the same Toyota audio multimedia interface. So this system is about 4 inches larger. So you do still get a bigger screen when you go with the Lexus versus the Toyota counterpart. You can see there's my phone. It's connected wirelessly. It also has wireless Android Auto. It has over-the-air updates. I like how the climate function stays put over there in the lower portion of the screen. And this just looks really nice. It's fairly easy to use. It has embedded GPS, although it is a cloud-based system, which means if you don't have signal, you won't have actual GPS. That's the one that's embedded in the car. It's kind of like your phone. In terms of the materials, you can see this is a soft touch injection molded plastic. Not sure what happened there. I think that was just scratched up via like something sticky. Padded again over this part of the upper dashboard. You can see with the luxury package, you also get this heads-up display, which you can kind of customize and adjust. It definitely looks nice. You also get a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel, and you get paddles on the wheel for the electronically controlled CVT transmission. These little pads here, you can see when you look on the heads-up display, they change based on whether you would like what you would like to use by pushing this button. You can see it's relatively easy to use. You also have the Lexus personal assistant in this vehicle, where you can give it voice commands. Your drive modes, or I'm sorry, your Lexus Safety System 2.5 controls are all over here via the driver assistance buttons. You can again customize how this looks by pushing on this button here, and it shows you in the heads-up display what you're actually doing. The horn sounds good. It sounds appropriately meaty, especially given the small size of this vehicle. And then over here on the rest of the center stack, you can see it's got dual zone climate control. I like how there's like these little screens inside these little actual rotary knobs. You have a full panoramic view 360 camera, which again is an extra charge that my tester has for an extra $1,000. It also has their advanced park feature, so this vehicle will automatically parallel and perpendicular park for you, which is nice. The graphics, when you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your top-down 360 camera. It looks okay. It doesn't look as good as some of the other competing systems where you can do a 360 perimeter scan with your finger. Instead, you can kind of do that virtual scan, which I think is kind of useless. But again, it's nice that Lexus has upgraded the actual resolution for this vehicle and the cameras and stuff. You can see padded center stack over here, which is nice. This is your drive mode selector. You can see this vehicle offers 3 different modes. There's normal, eco, and then sport. There's no sport plus mode like you get in the F Sport models. I like how Lexus still uses an actual knob here. Remember, they got rid of this in the new Lexus RX, which is slightly disappointing. You have 2 USB charging ports here, a USB-C and a USB-A. Wireless phone charging pad over here, which also includes their digital key system. Open this up, you can see a nice hidden storage cubby is right there. And the cool thing is you can actually leave your phone there and then slide that back. So that's really nice. The wireless phone charger, I found, doesn't always work properly. You can see right now my phone's resting on it. It's charging, but as I drive around, it starts to shift around and it doesn't actually charge my phone. So that's something I've noticed with a lot of vehicles with the wireless phone charging pad. This controls the eCVT. You can see it's kind of like a Prius electronic shifter. Kick it back like that to go into drive. Push the P button to go to park. You have an EV mode here, which allows you to drive at very, very low speeds at light throttle in electric only mode if you have enough battery charge. You have like a trail mode here if you want to take this vehicle into lighter off-road conditions. You have electronic parking brake there, a nice padded center console. Open that up, you can see there's a good amount of storage. No USB charging port in there. Instead, they're over here on this part of the dash. The glove box, you can see, is damped and lined with felt. It's a pretty big bin style. My tester also has the digital camera review mirror, which for $200, I think it should be standard on the luxury package. You also have ambient, or you have LED map lighting. You also have their thematic ambient lighting in this vehicle, which you can choose from several different colors. It looks nice, not quite as good as some of the German brand vehicles. You can see I mentioned earlier, the seats are very comfortable and supportive. I love the real leather that you get in this model. You can't get that, remember, on the Toyota counterpart. And then above me here, you can see big panoramic glass roof, which also allows you to open up the roof if you'd like. So again, this is a $500 upcharge if you guys want to get that with this luxury package. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat of this car, because the back seat did get a little bit more space this year. As you open the door here, you can see the door doesn't open quite as large as I'd like it to, especially if you guys need to fit a car seat back here. But Lexus claims you have 36 inches of legroom, which is decent. It's about 1.5 inches less versus the RAV4 hybrid. You can see the materials back here are the same soft touch injection molded plastic, which is nice. And then you have some leather stitching and real Nulux on this armrest pad, hard touch plastic over here. And then these seats, you can see, they do not actually, I'm sorry, they do offer a slight recline. But what's interesting is they are power folding up and down from the rear, but it's not power reclining. I'm surprised that Lexus didn't want to just make it power reclining, but those seats are an extra $1,000 to get the power folding feature. As I get in and shut the door, you can see 36 inches of legroom. For somebody my height, 5'7", it's a pretty good amount of space. And in terms of headroom, you can see my head is actually kind of close to the ceiling, so keep that in mind if you guys want the panoramic roof. It's going to eat into your headroom space. But down here you can see you have rear seat air vents. You have 3-level heated rear seats. That's part of that $1,000 upcharge that includes the power recline function. You have 2 more USB-C charging ports down here, and then you have an actual 12-volt. There's no household outlet down here. And then for the seat back storage, you have 2 storage cubbies, and then you also have an armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. So overall, the back seat is certainly very usable, but it's definitely not the biggest in this segment. But I suspect for most people, if you don't have big, tall friends or tall kids, this should be plenty of space for the majority of Americans. So believe it or not, I actually haven't had a chance to drive the conventional hybrid NX of this generation. I've had a chance to drive the turbo and the plug-in hybrid, and the cool thing about the NX 350h is this is the only conventional hybrid available in the luxury space. Everyone else does a plug-in hybrid or they do a mild hybrid. So this model is definitely unique, and it takes its bones essentially from the RAV4 hybrid. However, unlike the Toyota cousin, we have an extra 20 horsepower, a completely different look, and a completely different interior. So Lexus claims this model will do 0 to 60 in around 7.2 seconds. All-wheel drive is standard. Remember, this has a very small battery pack, like 1.2 or 3 kilowatt hours, so you don't have to worry about plugging it in. But with that additional assist from the electric motor, it should provide us identical performance, similar performance to the turbo. So it's traction control off, sport mode, we'll brake torque it. Oh. The road is a little wet out there. I turned the traction control off and you guys felt it was sliding a bit. 7.09 seconds. So I suspect with less wheel spin, which was kind of hilarious actually. It's not damp, the roads, but it did rain last night, so maybe the roads are slightly damp. This could probably do a sub 7-second number, but I just tested recently a RAV4 Hybrid XSE, and that did it in 6.9 seconds. So I suspect this will do similar performance, but 7.09 is certainly nothing to sneeze at. It's about a second, a little over a second quicker versus the previous generation NX 300h. Remember, this essentially replaces that model, but I think it should be plenty quick for most people. But let's go ahead and see what we can get on this stretch here. This is slightly more uphill. Traction control is still off. We'll brake torque it. It's funny how it is slipping the front tires. But with that CVT, it just kind of accelerates with authority. 7.39 there. Again, this is with a slightly more uphill gradient versus the first run that I did. But again, performance is pretty acceptable, and the trade-off with this car being slightly slower, it's about a half a second slower versus the NX Turbo that I drove earlier this year. You get significantly better gas mileage. I'm talking like 13 miles to the gallon better combined versus the turbo version of the NX and all of its competitors that are either a mild hybrid or just a standard turbo engine. Remember, there is a plug-in hybrid version of this car that I also drove and filmed. Be sure to click in the link in the description below if you want to watch that video on the 450h Plus. But the NX 350h should be a really great compromise between power and efficiency, because like so many other of Toyota and Lexus hybrid systems, as soon as you put your foot down here, it just automatically surges forward. The electric motors, 3 of them, provide instant torque. There's no turbo engine, gas engine, to kind of wait to spool up. So instead you just get this nice rush of acceleration. Unfortunately, you do hear a good bit of noise. The 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder makes its presence known. The one NX that I haven't driven is the 250, which has the same powertrain from the regular RAV. I probably would avoid that. It just doesn't feel befitting in a luxury-oriented vehicle. In terms of handling, just like the other NX models, this is tuned way more for comfort, and that's okay because this car does lack the adaptive dampers from the F Sport models, but you can see, putting your foot down here, the all-wheel drive system in this car is controlled via a separate rear electric motor, so it constantly feels more front drive biased, but again, it's not bad in terms of acceleration. And in terms of traction, it does get out of the hole very well. And I love how Lexus puts all-wheel drive as standard. Even on this regular hybrid, you don't have to pay extra for all-wheel drive, which I think is a great thing. Let me just try one more time here, 0 to 60, see what we can get on this flat road. And it's a little bit more dry here. Ooh, it's still slipping again. Let's break into the 6s. Come on, Lexus, break into the 6s. 6.9 seconds there. There we go. So that's identical performance to the RAV4 XSE Hybrid, and that's again a car that so many people buy. So you're not really giving up anything, even though the Lexus is slightly heavier. I want to say it's about 200 pounds heavier. This is pretty good acceleration for most people. Remember, you don't buy these things to go drag racing. I again show you those performance figures so we can have kind of like a little baseline for performance if you're trying to choose between the different powertrains. But I'll switch the drive mode here back into normal, and we'll just drive the vehicle normally. You can see when the car accelerates, the tach goes away when you put it into normal. It just kind of provides that instant shove. This eCVT is a great transmission. I much prefer this combination versus the 6-speed automatic that you're going to find in some of the Korean competitors that offer a hybrid. And I also prefer this over Honda's hybrid system, which they don't even offer on Acura. Remember, if you're looking at an Acura, you're looking at Infiniti, they don't offer a hybrid only, a conventional hybrid. In fact, Acura is going to be skipping hybrids entirely. That's what they told us. But the cool thing is, driving at lower speeds here, the car just cruises along on electric only. It actually shows EV in the instrument panel. The downside compared to the plug-in hybrid, as soon as you go near the throttle, I can literally just touch the throttle ever so slightly, like not even an inch, like a half an inch, and the gas engine will turn on because it just doesn't have enough power to move this vehicle on electric power alone. It can at low speeds, low parking lot speeds, or if you're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic, that's where you're going to get that better efficiency because the gas engine isn't on. Now, in terms of visibility, I can see out of the new NX very well. This model here also has the digital camera rearview mirror for an extra $200. I'd highly recommend that because without it, the visibility is fine, but again, if you constantly have a bunch of stuff back there, you're going to want that digital camera rearview mirror. This vehicle also has Lexus Safety System 2.5 is standard, so it has active lane keep assist, forward cross traffic alert, automatic emergency braking, full speed range, adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist. All of that works really well. I also like the heads-up display that this model has, and the seats are supremely comfortable. This model here has the luxury package with the premium real leather. It's not the new Lux, and compared to the seats in the F Sport, I think these are slightly softer and they don't hold you quite as well, but they still have a little bit of bolstering. But I think for longer drives, this is the seat that you're going to want. The interior is also very quiet. Here, just cruising along in EV mode right now, going 45 miles an hour. It's just silent in here. It's very quiet, so you can really feel the fact that Lexus has put more sound deadening materials versus the RAV4. I lived with the RAV4 Prime for a year, and I noticed that the interior noise levels were a little bit higher than I'd want. This is why you buy the Lexus. This is why Lexus charges an extra $12,000 compared to a RAV4. You do get a bunch of other stuff as well in addition to more power, but you also get just a much quieter interior. Now, in terms of efficiency, I took this vehicle out on a highway drive about 100 miles, and it averaged around 35 mpg on the highway. Remember, these hybrids are going to do worse in terms of efficiency. However, I did take this out to around the city, and it averaged around 37 mpg. So 37 mpg is pretty good, but just keep in mind, the plug-in hybrid is going to do worse. This is, again, much better efficiency versus the turbo, but the RAV4 hybrid, I have seen better efficiency of 40 mpg in mixed driving for that vehicle, so I'm going to chalk it down to the heavier weight. But I suspect for those of you who have a more conservative right foot, you should be able to get better gas mileage. But overall, compared to the turbo and the plug-in hybrid, there is something to like about this model. And even though Lexus doesn't offer the F Sport handling package on this car, I think most people are going to find plenty to like. And the beauty about this model here is it's actually cheaper versus the turbo, and you're gonna be saving a crap ton of money at the pump. Now, as the second best-selling vehicle in Lexus's US portfolio, as you guys can probably suspect, this is a very big deal for Lexus. And if you actually look at the numbers, in November of 2022, this vehicle actually was Lexus's best-selling model here in the States. They sold around 5,700 units. That's about 2,000 more versus what they did in terms of Lexus RX sales. Now, the Lexus RX right now is in a transition where they're now moving and starting production of the all-new version. So I suspect that model will overtake this at some point, but with nearly 6,000 units sold in just a month, this is a pretty big deal. Now, after spending some time driving most of the NX family, the only one I haven't driven is the base engine 250, which I would probably say avoid because it's essentially just a RAV4 base engine, which I don't love. This model here offers plenty to like. In terms of fuel economy, it gets at least 10 mpg better versus the turbocharged engine. So that alone is going to make this a worthy upgrade if you guys are looking to save money at the pump. 0 to 60 in around 6.9 seconds is quick for most people. It's about, again, a half a second slower versus the turbo engine, and it's about a second and a half slower versus the NX 450h Plus, which again, that model is around $13,000 more expensive, and sadly, it no longer qualifies for the $7,500 federal tax credit. Gripes for this vehicle include, again, the backseat and the cargo area isn't quite as big as some competitors, but it is, again, the only player in the luxury segment that is a conventional hybrid. Everything else is either a mild hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. So the Lexus is in a very unique position if you guys are looking to save money at the pump and you want something nicer versus a lot of the mainstream offerings. Now, speaking of which, if you are looking to purchase the regular NX 350h, this car starts at $43,105. It's about $400 less versus the turbo engine. That's right, this is cheaper versus the turbo engine. My tester here has a lot of options on it. The most expensive is the luxury package for $7,500, but it also has the panoramic sunroof, the panoramic view 360 camera, the premium triple beam LED headlights, and the Mark Levinson stereo. All in, this model here is around $56,000, and that's basically fully equipped. Now, 56 grand is expensive, especially for an NX. That used to be Lexus RX money. If you want to equip something like an RDX or a Genesis GV70 with the base 2-liter turbo or the 2.5 turbo, it's going to be around $3,000 less. But if you look at the German competitors, this is still going to be around $4,000 less expensive, and you're going to be saving a ton of money at the pump, especially if you guys plan to do a lot of longer road trips, because this car will easily do almost 500 miles on a full tank. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2023 Lexus NX 350h. I definitely think this is the sweet spot in the family, as long as you're okay with the fact that you cannot get this model with the F-Sport handling package. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.